Welcome. We have Chris Lee and John Dawson. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Hi there.
first off, I'll ask you to introduce yourself. Who wants to go first? Chris?
I'll
John?
go first. Hi, I'm Chris Mee. I'm the head of marketing effectiveness for GVC.
Yeah.
GVC is one of the world's largest sports betting and gaming companies.
Okay.
And I'm John Dawson. I'm the managing director of ScanMarQed. So we're based over here in Utrecht. And I've been working with Chris at GVC for the past 5 years to help them build their team and build their capability.
Yeah. And Chris, you did a talk this morning. Workshop or talk? Workshop?
A workshop.
A workshop. Upping the ante, how one of the world's largest gaming companies improve the odds of marketing success. So tell me, what was it about?
So as an organization, we spend about €500 million every year marketing our different brands.
Yeah.
In the UK, across Europe, South America in terms of Brazil, Australia, and that's a lot of money to invest. And so, as an organisation, what we want to first and foremost understand is what is that delivery in terms of value to us as an organisation, in terms of money, bottom line revenue, but also, can we spend that more effectively? Are we oversaturating in certain channels? So do we do too much TV advertising relative to too much online display advertising?
Yeah. And, well, to me, it comes to mind the famous quote, I think it was at least attributed to Coca-Cola, that most of your marketing money is spent on the wrong channel. But
yeah.
Lots of people have had that attributed to them, haven't they?
John Wanamaker, I believe.
John Wanamaker's one of them, yeah.
John Wanamaker. Half of my marketing dollars, I believe he said, was wasted. He just didn't know which half.
Yeah,
so.
exactly.
And that's
Do you know?
Yeah, we do actually. It's actually not as simple as that. So,
But it's less than half.
it's less than half. I think.
Just to be clear.
You hope, or
At least now, definitely.
Yeah. I think my CFO would have a bit of a fit if he knew that 250 million euros were being wasted.
Yeah.
So it's not a case of really that it's wasted. It's just inefficiently targeted. So it's making sure that you're not you're targeting your funds so that it's in areas where you're going to get the better return versus something else. So, I mean, if you've seen a TV commercial 5 times, do you need to see it 6, 7, 8 times? Probably not. You've already got the message. And therefore, reinforcement of the brand through other channels, whether that's, if you're on a website and you see a banner, or you're driving your car, you see a billboard, or you're listening to the radio, then maybe that's more effectively spent in those channels rather than at half-time when Ajax are 5-0 up. I don't know.
So the workshop was mainly about sharing your experience.
Yeah, sharing the experience about how we've done that. So we started off with nothing.
How long ago was that?
So we started in 2016. So we're into our 5th year now. So we didn't. We had an effectiveness capability, but it wasn't best in class, and it had its deficiencies. So we started a program of work. We focused on 3 UK brands, our main 3 UK brands, which is Ladbrokes, Coral, and Gala Bingo. And we've subsequently consolidated that program of work, automated it, make sure that we're getting to the answer quicker. And then we were acquired by GVC in 2018. And now we've expanded it to the full portfolio. So it's an ongoing program of work. It's not something that will stop, but it's embedded. It's in the organisation. We are regularly chatting to different stakeholders, not just marketing, but finance, operations, our partners, our media agency, our suppliers like ScanMarQed. To keep it moving forward and evolving. That's the thing. It's once you've got the answer, you want something different and something new, and so it's what is that evolution, and that's where ScanMarQed have come to the fore. So
I think one thing to add to that, Chris, is you talk about marketing effectiveness, but the scope of the analysis you do covers promotions, covers other business drivers, events. It's a much broader business driver analysis, I guess, that you actually perform. So although the optimization is very much on the marketing side and increasing the values on the marketing side, you help the business understand a hell of a lot more than the advertising impacts. You help them understand different events, what's the likely impact of this event next year, and these kind of promotional plans. So it goes deep and it goes very broad.
Yeah, it does. I think we're all. Well, I personally, I don't gamble. I work for a gambling company and I don't gamble. But that's not because I see.
That's how you make money, right?
Yeah, that's how we make money. No, I never have done that. It's never been. It's not been something that's that appeals to me. But I'm a sports fanatic. So, every other summer there's a football tournament, whether it's the Euros this year, World Cup in 2 years' time in Qatar. Those are big events, and so actually understanding, what just natural demand that's going to deliver, or whether it's the Champions League final, and again that's an important one. But that's the sports betting side. There's the whole casino, online casino, whether that's slots, whether that's poker, blackjack, baccarat. You can now play a live game of poker if you want to with a dealer. There's a croupier there, sat across on a table, or they're not a virtual, they're not an avatar. It's an actual. It is an actual croupier, and you can gamble, and people like that. That's Macau and Las Vegas have been around for a long, long time. So this is just an extension of entertainment, and that's what it is. People like to gamble. So.
I'm always fascinated. So I have a background in psychology, and I also I don't gamble, but of course Vegas is a very popular spot for conferences. So yearly we have a conference over there. I'm fascinated by how those buildings are set up to keep everyone in, to keep everyone happy, to keep everyone gambling.
You say you don't gamble, but do you play the lottery?
No.
No? Oh, okay. You don't gamble. So.
No, I'm the same. But you're right. It's so many experiments, natural experiments happen, and this industry in particular there's just an enormous amount of data experimentation done in the right way. That can tell you an awful lot of things about people, how they behave. You just got to be doing it in the right way.
Yeah.
So do you know what kind of companies joined you for the workshop this morning? What kind of questions did they
actually
have?
It was too early. Everyone was
running in. Everyone needed more coffee.
They did. They were sort of coming in at the last minute. I know we had local companies. I think we had people from other parts of Europe as well in there, from the people I spoke to.
Yep.
Both advertisers themselves, brand owners and research agencies. So there's a really good mix here actually of different companies.
And then did you get kind of certain questions from the audience? What kind of information
we ran out of time. So one question was how do you do this? And
where do you even start?
Where do you start?
It's all voodoo.
Yeah, voodoo.
No, but it can seem overwhelming, especially if you don't have anything like you had a few years ago. Like, how do you start measuring anything at all, and then actually using that to improve things?
Yeah, I mean, it shouldn't be surprising because we are in a data age, but the data's there. Some of it is hard to get or harder to get, but most of it is now captured as standard. You don't realize that it probably is, but virtually everything that we do as individuals is captured in some form, in some sort of form. We know this is, how many people are watching TV at any one point in time, how many people are doing it on a dual screen, versus how many people are online searching for different brands. So all of that information's there. It's being able to then capture all of that and bring it together and say, well, what relationships can I see? And if I can see those relationships, that helps me quantify. And if I can quantify, I can therefore optimize.
How big is the team doing this?
So the team is...
What does it look like?
So we're a mixture actually. So we're a mixture of internal and external. So internally we are 7 at the moment. Externally we've probably got about the same number of people. So and those are from our partners. So what we're not scared of doing is actually using outside parties. You could build this yourself, but if you're going to build it yourself, you're going to have a much larger workforce because people leave, people become sick, but you still have deadlines to hit. So it's actually a better model to have a hybrid where you've got part of it internally, because then you get to witness, feel, see, hear what's happening with the organization. And then meld that with the expertise and technical expertise that you get from a supplier like ScanMarQed.
I think just going back to the question about how do we do this, actually right at the beginning you talked about this in your talk today. You broke it down into 4 elements. You talked about what are the business processes we need to influence, not just what are the current processes, but what could the processes be if we had more insights, what data you actually had available, and you did an awful lot of work around data pipelines and the practical stuff. We supplied the tools, and we helped with all of these elements at ScanMar, but specifically we supplied some tools that really help you get the insights out of the data quickly. And then the training, I think you trained people internally how to do things. You also trained people internally how to interpret and how to take actions from the insights that you were able to provide. So when they could be confident about things, and actually when there was some uncertainty, I think you were pretty open with saying, you have to understand, and of course this is one industry that understands risk, right? Explicitly understands risk. So
Yep.
I think you have a great opportunity there. So yeah, it's process, data, tools, and people in that. And those are the 4 things that we set
Yep.
up as a program and have developed and evolved over time.
Yeah.
I'm interested. So we both work in digital marketing. I personally work in optimization, running experiments, running A/B tests. And what I see at a lot of companies, and you name me those 4 elements, we see a very, I would say a disbalance in investments. A lot goes into tools. It's apparently very easy to buy tools, but it's really hard, or apparently it doesn't happen, to invest in people and the knowledge buildup. How is that at your company?
Well, can I say something?
Of course.
As a tools provider, right? We make tools.
Yeah,
Those tools don't land if the people can't use them.
exactly.
So it's actually on us to provide the resources, to provide the learning. We provide online e-learning, certification, but air miles aside, there's no substitute for being in the same room and actually taking people through this. And it's a learning process. So I think from our side, we absolutely recognise that. I think what we had was a client who was prepared to and acknowledged and understood that this was really important. And it does take time.
Yeah.
But one thing this industry has is, and if you look at financial services and telcos, you get the same thing. You've got data literate people, and you had a lot of data literate people. What was maybe lacking was how do we communicate some of this stuff? How do we take the most advantage of it?
Yeah, it is. I think if you think back to your school days, you ask anybody, what was the worst subject that you studied, and everyone would go maths. Everyone hated maths. It was like the lesson that everyone wanted to try and avoid, other than the geeks, as it were. So, a good practitioner will try and actually dismiss some of the myths around it, because it is complex. Some of the mathematics is complex, but you don't need to know that as a marketeer. No. You don't need to know that I've used a nonlinear transformation on a certain variable. What you're interested in is that for every euro that I've invested, that you get, and then I'm getting €1.20 back in terms of investment.
Well, you need to be able to interpret what the tool, whatever the tools.
But that's also, the tools themselves need to demystify things a bit. There's don't know if you guys have it here. We have in the UK, we have the magic circle, right? So magicians have to keep all these things secret. How do you do the card tricks? It all has to be a big secret. If you reveal the secret, you get thrown out of the institution. And there's a bit of that, I think, in the analytical community. God, if we tell these people how we really do it, right? You can't really tell them what the methods are. I think you should have I think you actually have to have a state of mind that says there's no black box here. If you can't see inside, if you can't trust it, if you don't understand where it's coming from, you're not going to use it. So again, we have to demystify. We have to try and use plain language, simple language, and people will put it towards them if it's going to benefit them. They'll put it towards them and they'll get value from it. It's when they don't know what they're doing, when they don't know, why they're doing something, they're just pushing a button. It doesn't work.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, my experience is actually more like you said, that it's not that people that they can't understand, but most of them just don't really care. They just want to know, what did you learn and how do we apply it?
Please tell me what to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Black box marketing, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't work.
Yeah.
No, but most people who are not into the analytics like maybe we are tend to think that way. Like, all right, I just want to know what I need to do next.
It's funny you should say that, because after I first presented to our CEO at the time, after the meeting, he took me to one side and he goes, "Chris, what should I do?"
Yeah.
And he wasn't interested in the maths. He just was interested in, now, what do I do differently?
Yeah.
And I said, well, these are the results. This is what it says. We've overspent in this area, so we need to pull back. And there's an opportunity in this area. And it was very simple, and he didn't need to know the complex maths that we used to actually get to the answer. And for him, that was fine. He could then empower his CMO to then go and actually execute.
Yeah.
Was that the formation chart, Chris?
It was the formation chart.
There's a very famous chart we showed today.
So it's what we did was it's your typical pitch layout that your football manager would use, with the little circular discs. So you've got your goalkeeper, your defense, your midfield, and your attack. And so we used that analogy because, again, he was a big sports person, around, well, who's your midfield? Who is your midfield? And the midfield for us is our TV advertising, it's our print advertising, our radio, all of that above the line communication. That's your powerhouse. That's the one that generates your demand and starts feeding all of the balls forward, either out to the wings, where we have our partners in terms of our affiliates, or to your center forward, the center forward being branded PPC, branded search. So when you go into Google and type in a brand, you want that brand to be the number one brand that's up on the list. And so, but that's really not, that's just providing a purpose. It's your star striker, it's your Cristiano Ronaldo or Lionel Messi. You feed them the ball, and the ball is being fed by your TV, your midfield, and they'll stick it away every time. But you still need your defense, you need your CRM activity, you need your bonus, your promotions, the things that really defend your brand against attack, as it were. So
I think that's a good strategy.
Cool.
Just figure out the sports analogy that you should use, or whatever sports the person you're talking to likes, and then
yeah. Thankfully, he liked his football. So,
exactly.
Were it something like water polo, then good heavens.
We're in the communications game, right? We're in a communications game. Our audience wants to be communicated to efficiently and effectively, and that was a brilliant example, I thought, of
taking
saying,
something simple. Taking something complex and presenting it in a very simple but easy to understand fashion, and that worked and really worked for him well. So,
and what are the most interesting or most noticeable things you've come across in the last few years? Things maybe you didn't expect, or something you had to present in a football analogy?
In a football analogy, I think. Well, there's no analogy to this, but what it certainly has shown us is how much of our marketing is having an effect on our existing customer base. So the marketing predominantly was seen as an acquisition tool thing to get people into the brand through the door, as it were, the virtual door, because we're looking at this in terms of a digital brands. But actually quantifying that probably 40% of our return is coming from our existing customers. Look, and you think, well, actually, when you step back, you think, yeah, actually, it stands to reason. We are, they're going to be influenced just as much as a new customer to re-engage with the brand. So that's been that's been huge for us. But also because some channels have more of an influence on our existing customer base. And that's helped rebalance the view of what marketing does.
And which channels might be specifically used
Well,
for which purpose?
It's your mass communication channels. So mass communication means TV and print.
I see that a lot of companies that marketing is getting confused with sales. A lot of marketing teams have sales targets. Well, that not necessarily might be.
I mean, that's what we did.
best.
I mean, even our marketeers had sales targets in terms of number of newly acquired customers. So
and
it's
focused on
important.
new customers.
Yeah. I mean, that's massively important. If you don't acquire customers in the long run, you'll have no customers. So it still is important.
60-40.
But not the sole thing to focus on.
Yeah, but then, you will. If you just focus on acquisition, you'll focus on the channels which drive acquisition. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you'll drive your brand in the long run. Because what we want to be is we want to be here in 5, 10, 15, 20 years, Everyone wants to maintain a brand, but also grow a brand. And so it's been important for that. So.
Yeah, and you did... that long-term view is something the guys very much consider. It's not just this short-termism. Because actually, on an acquisition-only basis, you probably are short-term. You're going to underinvest. By understanding those broader contexts, the fear, of course, doing these exercises is always that it's been done for the accountants. It's how we cut the budget. It's how we put money to the bottom line. Very often when you do these things, you realise that the value, we're undervaluing some of these activities. Actually, yes, there might be a case to invest more, or maybe invest differently as well. Even things that are surprising, traditional channels still work.
Yeah.
It's not always popular, and the interesting thing, a lot of marketers make the mistake of thinking their customers are like them. There's a really famous chart that shows if you go around media agencies and they say where do people consume media, how do they consume it? Media people, media planners generally get this completely wrong. They underestimate what the real population does. So the great thing about data is data is generally an independent, unbiased source, and that's one of the reasons you look at the data.
Yeah, if you don't have the data, my most popular department to go through for feedback is customer service.
Yeah, that's true.
They usually have a pretty good idea about what the things that are going wrong. Or at least what
customer service knows what's going wrong, and sales usually knows what works.
Yeah.
So if you go to those two, then
Indeed.
Thank you so much for coming here. Any specific topics at the conference today or tomorrow that you look forward to learning more about?
I just
strolling
saw some
around.
stuff on sustainability is going on, but we've missed that one.
Well, I don't know. I've seen the VR machine, so
I haven't seen a VR machine yet.
yeah, it's just down there.
That's your lunch break.
Yeah, that's my lunch break.
Well, my would-be son-in-law has got an Oculus for Christmas, so
Had some fun with that.
That's pretty cool, by the way.
That's nice.
We heard the speaker before you told us about a talk that's coming up about the Van Gogh Museum and how they optimized it for where people look. So they did research on where do people look, what kind of paintings and how long, and they optimized the museum for that. So that might be interesting.
Very cool.
That might be cool.
Very cool.
There's some really good stuff on the program, so looking forward to it.
Yeah.
A final question: is your presentation available online, or will it be available
It will.
online?
Yes, it will be.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
We can link to that in the show notes.
Okay.
Cool.
Chris and John,
Thank
thank you so much, and have a good day.
Thanks,
You
guys.
too. Thank you.
Bye bye.